All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another one, y'all. All right, y'all, back with another keys to victory slash prediction for the biggest fight of the decade, biggest fight in the welterweight division. This one's for undisputed, y'all. Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford. Now, I know this is my WMMA channel, but I'm just letting y'all know where I'm going to be at and why I'm going to be there. Because right here, this, like I said, is the biggest fight that's been made in boxing over the past decade. All right, Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford. I will be doing a fight companion for this one, and I'll probably link it to this channel as well, just so y'all can kind of tune in, because I might jump back and forth between UFC 291. Like, I'll cover UFC 291 up until the main event for Spence Crawford. All right, how does that sound? Is that fair? That's fair. But I will be doing Maverick Cachoeira separately tonight. You know, I will do that one for y'all, and then I'll come back on later on for, like I said, the main card for UFC 291 with Spence Crawford playing, and that's where I'll jump my focus to later on. But yeah, with that being said, y'all, had to do a keys to victory on this fight here, even for y'all WMMA fans, because this is just a big fight that I think everybody needs to know about. I mean, this one here is for undisputed. You know, this is a fight that really is going to solidify the legacies of both Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. And a lot rides on this fight. To me, this is bigger than Floyd and Pacquiao. I've said why before, but I'll tell y'all over here. Floyd and Manny, they were already great champions and legends in their own right. They had their own respective careers. If they never crossed paths, fine. That was just like a cherry on top of their careers, you know, especially with all that money and where they were at that point. But these two guys here, they've done so much, but there are some things that we haven't seen come out of them yet, or we haven't seen them in the trenches completely yet, right? Errol Spence, he's fought good fighters. Terence Crawford has fought good fighters, but neither one of them has really had rivalries with other fighters, or they haven't really been taken to that mud. You know, they haven't really been taken into that really darkness and really have to fight their way out into that like 9th or 10th round to really prove that they're champions. You know, they haven't had their Thomas Hearns and Leonard type of rivalries. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard, he's had Duran, Hagler, and Hearns. You know, he's had all of that. Evander Holyfield, he's had Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis. You know, he shared the ring 3 times with Riddick Bowe and 2 times with Lennox Lewis and 2 times with Tyson, right? So those guys have been proven as far as like their greatness. You know, these guys have beaten good fighters, but they haven't beat like the great fighters. You know, Sean Porter is a good fighter, no disrespect. He is a good fighter, but he's come up short against those big names that he was always take. Yeah, I give him credit for taking those names, you know, and I give him a lot of credit for giving those champions tough fights, but he would still come up short, you know, whether it was Kell Brook, Keith Thurman, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, right? But when it comes down to it, he's still just a good fighter. And Errol Spence proved he can beat good fighters, but can he beat somebody with the skill level of Terence Crawford? Terence Crawford, he's knocked everybody out at welterweight, but the resume is still a little questionable, right, compared to some of the greats and even Errol Spence. So can Terence Crawford prove he's great by beating a very tough 3-belt world champion in Errol Spence? Okay, so that's why this fight is giving me a little bit of anxiety, just a little bit of anxiety, because a lot rides on this. Not since Ward Kovalev have I felt like so hyped up for a fight. Even Canelo Golovkin was okay, but Ward Kovalev, that was just like a big challenge for Andre Ward to move up and take on like a big champion in Kovalev, and we saw how that went. This one here, like I said, we haven't seen Errol with this type of competition in front of him, and we haven't seen Crawford with this type of competition in front of him before. And, you know, I get kind of tired of people saying, like, Errol doesn't have, like, the same skill set. Of course, he doesn't have the same skill set of Terence Crawford, or they say he doesn't have a very good IQ. Errol Spence has a very good IQ. He sticks to what he knows, and if you do that, to me, that's proving you have a good IQ. You know, you're not trying to be all flashy, and when you know that the competition is tough, you stick to what you're supposed to do, and to me, that's a good IQ. All right, so with that out of the way, I just want to do some real quick keys to victory, and I'll break down and give y'all a prediction, because as many videos as I've done on my other channel, make sure y'all subscribe, All Boxing Everything. I haven't given my full-on prediction. I haven't given y'all a fighter who I think is going to be successful at being undisputed tonight, man. But I'll do that. I'll go ahead and do that. So first up, I'm giving you some keys to victory. I picked just 3 little points for both fighters, and I'm trying not to make them very basic. I kind of crafted them. They're real quick, but I just kind of crafted them for the type of fighters they are, and if I was in their corner. All right. So first, I'll start with Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford, known as a gifted athlete, gifted fighter, has a lot of tools. He's been able to do many different things, but it's always in question why. Is it because of the opponents, or is he just that good? I think it's a mixture of both. I think the opponents he's had he's been able to kind of get away with certain things and have his way with them. But in this type of fight here, not sure he's going to be able to do that. If he does, then he's a great one. All right. So first up for Terence Crawford, I think he's number one. He's going to have to jump out of his comfort zone, and he's going to have to build an early lead. Terence Crawford, he tends to lose like the first 4 or 5 rounds in every fight. All right. He was losing to Sean Porter, losing to Gamboa. Kell Brook was having some success in the first couple of rounds. I don't think you can do that against a guy like Errol Spence. Errol Spence may be considered a machine to some people that keeps coming forward, but he's a smart guy that can go in there and do the damage that he needs to do, and he can build an early lead and win a fight. He gets stronger. So Terence Crawford, this can't be a fight where he sits back and downloads. I mean, he's going to have to make adjustments on the fly and adapt. So he's going to have to go in there, adapt, and build an early lead. And I mean, start boxing early. Start touching him like he was doing against Sean Porter, in the mid rounds. He's going to have to get comfortable in the stance that he wants to fight in. And he's going to have to start measuring early with his jab, using that long range, and start pot shotting early from the outside. Start turning angles and start frustrating Spence early with his footwork. He's going to have to build that early lead. Go ahead and take the first 3-4 rounds, getting into a rhythm of just trying to soundly outbox Terence Crawford, okay? Next, he's going to have to jab to the body. I think Errol Spence has very good defense. He has tight defense up top, and the best way he's going to be able to really touch the chin on Errol is start going to the body early. Once he measures at like a long or mid-range, start kind of like pawing the jab out, and then as Errol's elbows leave the sides, pop, hit him to the body, kind of like your Dennis Ugas did. Ugas had a lot of success, or like the jab to the body wasn't really affecting Errol from Ugas, but I think Terence Crawford, his jab will, because he'll follow up with something else. Like it'll either have effect when he's touching the rib cage, or it'll open up another opportunity. Like if he fights southpaw, he's touching with the right jab, it'll open up the straight left hand up the middle, or open up that like half uppercut, half left hook that he throws, and he could, touch the side of the ear of Errol Spence, once Errol Spence goes to try to counter or block that jab, once the elbow comes down. So, yeah, jabbing to the body is going to be very important. Don't try to headhunt early with Errol, because Errol, once he feels you like trying to touch his guard, he's going to leave his guard and hit you with that hard southpaw jab, all right? So, yeah, first, build the early lead, jab to the body. And number 3, impose that underrated strength in the mid rounds and the later rounds. And by that, I mean, a lot of people think Crawford's small. A lot of people think that, that he's having trouble making weight. He's going to be weak. No, I think Terence Crawford, he's going to be 100% for this fight. And people don't understand Terence Crawford, he has that wrestling background. In his days off and everything, back in the day, even when he was a kid, they would wrestle. He was part of the wrestling team. His kids are wrestlers, His dad taught him that. So, he is like a rough and rugged guy. So I think once he's soundly trying to outbox Errol Spence and he's having that success and it's starting to kind of fluster him, that's whenever he starts to go on the inside a little bit and kind of push Errol back. Start pushing Errol back with a little bit on the forearms of that high guard, push back with the forearms, hit him to the body. Then when Errol starts to let go on the inside, tie up and kind of lift him off of his feet, or just push him straight back, or kind of jerk him around, kind of like he did Sean Porter. You have to get dirty in there like that. You have to impose your strength sometimes. Strength sometimes is more important to impose than power, because if you're fighting a good boxer, they can take your power away. But strength, I think that's something you can impose on everybody by just laying on them, pushing them, or even making them feel it through a punch. Like, strength comes through in punches too. Even if you don't have natural power, like Floyd Mayweather, Winky Wright, Muhammad Ali, they had natural strength. So when you have that strength and it comes through a punch, it can move a guy anyways, and you'll feel that respect on that punch, okay? So, yeah, I think imposing that underrated strength in the mid and the later rounds, it'll start to wear on Errol Spence. In the later rounds, he'll start to get a little bit more tired. He'll start to open up, and he'll start to realize, oh man, I'm big and strong, but this guy is almost bigger and strong, or he's stronger than me. I didn't know this was here. So once he starts to feel that, it'll give him something different to look at. And by the later rounds, he could probably kind of build that lead and take the fight or close the show. All right. So, yeah, for Terence Crawford, build an early lead, jab to the body, and pose that underrated strength in the mid to later rounds. All right, for Errol Spence, like I said, I think a lot of people don't give Errol Spence a lot of credit. They say, oh, Terence Crawford has more tools. Okay, he has more tools, but Errol Spence has the right tools, Or let's put it this way, Errol Spence, he may have less tools, but he uses them right, okay? And I think sometimes less is better, because when you have less to work with, or if you really focus on certain tools that get you far, then you're more at home, and you're more familiar with those 3 or 4 tools that you have. You're not always jumping back and forth saying, oh, I can do this, I can do that. Well, no, I do these 3 things really well. Let's see if you can top me. And no, you can't, because Errol Spence, to me, is a very, very good pressure fighter. People think he's like some type of Margarito that just comes forward throwing punches, face wide open, getting hit. Come on, man. Errol Spence is deflecting a lot of punches. If anything, Errol Spence is more similar to Ronald Winky Wright. Errol Spence, he picks off a lot of punches. Every now and then something will get through, but for the most part, he's blocking shots when his elbows. He's blocking shots up with the high guard. That's why he comes out unmarked most of the time, because he's deflecting a lot of shots. Even whenever guys try to like swarm him, like Ugas done or Sean Porter, he's deflecting shots. He's picking those shots off of the guard, So Errol is defensively responsible. Terence actually gets hit more. Terence hits more than Errol Spence clean, I think Errol Spence, like I said, he's defensively responsible, and he measures range well with his punches, and he's a very good inside fighter. He's a very good inside fighter. He picks his shots. He turns them over perfectly. He hits you in the right spots. So for Errol Spence, looking at his keys to victory, I think it all comes down to how he punches and where he's going to put his punch placement at in this fight on a guy like Terence Crawford, who hasn't been hit by a guy like Errol. Number one, punch to hurt early. Punch to hurt. And I know Errol Spence, he's always coming forward with the jab. He's banging guys up, but I mean that seriously. Like in this fight here, you're dealing with a guy who thinks he's a better boxer. Everybody's on his side now. So he's thinking that I can just build this early lead, or I can just outbox him with the footwork and move. No, I think Errol Spence needs to set everything up, put the pressure on like normal, and he needs to punch to hurt early. And I mean, that's on the arms, the head, to the body, wherever he can get in. Now, I'm not saying punch himself out, but he needs to start punching with some bad intentions early to make Terence Crawford think twice about stepping on the inside with him, or even trying to trade with him in that moment. Like when Terence Crawford smiles when he gets hits and he wants to come back, no, you need to punch him early to make him not want to do that, to put him in respect mode. So Errol Spence needs to punch to hurt Terence Crawford early. Don't let the boxer get into a groove. Don't let him build an early lead and start using that footwork, punching to hurt early. Number two, very specific on this one, because if I was in his corner, this is what I would tell him. Errol Spence, target Terence Crawford's cheekbones. I know it sounds very brutal or something like gruesome, but no. Target Terence Crawford's cheekbones. Why do I say that? Because that skin up there by the cheekbone sometimes, I've seen it before, with other fighters. Hitting that guy up there where that high cheekbone is, it tends to swell easy. It will swell easy, right? Go back to the Kell Brook fight. When Kell Brook was putting that jab in Terence Crawford's face, up right by that cheekbone, really started to swell up. It's only after a few jabs now in the first couple of rounds. Now imagine if Errol Spence is able to land square on those cheekbones. He's going to do some damage. Number one, he has high cheekbones, but those things are wide open to be broken, all right? So target the cheekbones just, to start some swelling early, but target that high cheekbone, and he's going to break him. He's going to break him if he really focuses, like I'm saying, on that cheekbone, or the straight left hand lands on the right one. He's going to do some damage on him. That's why I say punch to hurt early, because he's going to do that damage early if he targets that cheekbone on the right or the left. Right hook around the guard of Terence Crawford. Sometimes Terence will drop his hands. He's dropping his hands, kind of baiting you in. Errol comes in with more than maybe more than one or two shots, comes in two or three or four shots. Something's going to land, and he needs to make sure that at least two of them land on those cheekbones so he can really do some serious damage. Because if he does that, he might be ending this fight earlier. If he does some serious damage up by those cheeks. Now, I know it sounds violent, but if you want to end the fight early and want to continue that streak of breaking guys' eyes, you got a guy right in front of you who has high cheekbones, and them things are right there to be touched by Errol Spence's punches, okay? Last but not least, body. Errol Spence has one of the best body attacks in boxing. You don't want to be chasing the boxer all night. We already know Terence Crawford has quicker hands, but he also has quicker feet, better footwork. So stalk, jab to the chest first, and then open up that opportunity. Feint up high with the jab to the head, but then go straight to that body. As soon as he gets into the center, body. I mean, he needs to just throw that uppercut to the body, throw that right hook to the body. Once he jabs at Terence Crawford, drop his head, come back up with the left uppercut, stab him to the body. Kind of like how Roy was doing to Tarver, he would throw the jab in Tarver's face, and then he would kind of throw that right hook to the body like a switchblade. Same thing, opposite. He's a southpaw, throw the right jab, switchblade him to the stomach with that left uppercut, and then tie him up a little bit, start hitting him with the right hook to the body, and just keep repeating that left, right to the body. Back him up into the ropes, keep ripping that body. Got to take away Terence Crawford's legs early, because those are going to be a big key to how he starts to make his adjustments in the later rounds. Once Terence Crawford gets into that groove in the later rounds, he's quick, he's looking to finish the show. But if you take his legs away, he's more in your element where you can drown him and stay on him. And right where he is. You got him right where you want him at all times by just keeping him pinned to the corner or in the center where he can't get away, from those hard body shots and even head shots at that point. All right. So yeah, Errol Spence, punch to hurt him early, target the cheekbones, and go to that body. Go to that rib shack. Got to do it. So yeah, man, those are my keys to victory. How I see this fight playing out, man. Both have really good skills and they have good talent. Like I said, I think Terence definitely has more tools, but I think Errol's more committed to the fundamentals that he has, which makes him a bigger threat, because sometimes, those type of guys, they're more determined and they believe in the 3 or 4 things that they have. It's like having a close-knit family. You don't have too many other people to go to, so you really love and nourish and you cherish what you have, and you make it work to your advantage and their advantages at all time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like having that. So I see this fight really playing out on who has the higher IQ down the stretch, but also who can pull out those intangibles, who can pull out those intangibles, but get stronger too at the end. So it's those 3 things, it's a lot of natural abilities in this fight. I could see Terence Crawford buzzing Errol Spence in this fight, because like I said, he is a sweet spot puncher, but I could see Errol Spence, like I said, doing that damage around the eyes early, and that could cause the effect of a stoppage. But when it comes down to it, I think both guys, they've learned so much from people in the past that they'll respect each other. It could go to a decision. But if it does go to a decision, I'm going to go with the guy with the higher output in all his fights, and he's always landing. And like I said, Terence Crawford, he can always be hit this type of fight. I think Errol Spence might pull this one out by decision, y'all. I think that he just put in too much hard work. He's won 3 belts. He's fought at a higher level for a while now. And I think that going up one more notch, he's going to be able to know what to do in these situations. I think he just has those tools that can kind of counter what Terence Crawford does, and he's going to make them work. Now, I could be wrong. Like I said, Terence Crawford, he shows a lot of gifted things and, a lot of different tools, but this is that type of fight where he's going to have to prove it too, because if he can't go in there, I'll say, okay, well, he's done it. He's had them all along, but he hasn't used these type of tools against this type of big physical pressure fighter before, a guy that can really fight on the insides, you know. It's like Roberto Duran and Terence, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, that fight. Maybe we might see Sugar Ray Leonard we might see Terence Crawford try to go flat foot and get drawn into a fight, putting on an exciting fight. And he winds up getting, in there with an inside fighter like Errol Spence to fight his fight. We never know. Or he could just outbox Errol Spence. We never know. It could be like Winky Wright versus Shane Mosley, where Errol's the stronger guy. He's backing him up and outboxing, We never know how this thing could go. Well, Terence Crawford, I think he has a little bit more tools and technical savvy than Shane Mosley, so nah. But overall, I think it's going to be a good fight. That's what counts. It's finally happening. And, I'm going to go with Errol Spence by decision in this one. But if that damage comes early, he could get a stoppage. He could get a stoppage in this fight because I think his punch output will go up and his strength will go up. But I still could. I could definitely be wrong because I could see that sweet spot landing too. I could see Errol getting rocked though, man. I played out all scenarios in my head as well, and I see how it could go. But I'm gonna have to go with the more natural welterweight here and the guy who gets stronger and stronger in every round and even can start fast as well. I think I'll go with Errol Spence, y'all. But that's all I got on this one, guys. Like I said, it's just more corner talk than it is trying to be a psychic in this situation. I'm just kind of picking what I would pick as far as how I get my fighter to win on both sides. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section. All right. And that is it for the Spence Crawford talk. The fight will be happening in about another 10 hours. So I'll catch y'all then. Combo Breaker 99. Subscribe here as well as all boxing and everything. I'm out. Peace.